distinguished author, radio host, and pastor. I want you to welcome to Atlanta Live, Carl Gallups.
The author of the #1 bestseller, The Magic Man in the Sky. Please welcome from Milton, Florida, Carl Gallups to Praise the Lord.
And there are just all kinds of things to talk about in regards and in connection to this issue. Nobody can do that better than my good friend from the state of Florida, Reverend Carl Gallups.
Hello, friends. Welcome to In the Market with Janet Parshall. Our conversation this hour is going to emanate from a book called The Magic Man in the Sky. And Carl Gallups is the author of the book.
From coast to coast and around the world, on television and radio, Carl is in demand, but you have him to yourself. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, 1330 WEBY, the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio.
All right. Yes, you do have me to yourself, because we are broadcasting live, and you have tuned in to 1330 WEBY. And you're in the Oval Office, Gulf Coast Talk Radio. So glad to have you back. We're at the bottom of the first hour. I'm going to be bringing on Mike Shoesmith here in the next few seconds. Of course, Mike is the executive editor of the PNN News and Ministry Network. Wow, that network is, it's not the biggest in the world, but it's huge. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, we're not, overclaiming ourselves, but we've been in, doing this network now since 2008. So that's what is this? Is 18? That's 10 years. Yeah, it's the 10-year anniversary. But I mean, like 12, Mike, I think 12, 13 Facebook channels, two big viral YouTube channels, two big viral blog sites, a couple of websites that are attached to it. And then we're hooked up with other huge ministries like Messiah of Israel Ministries, for example. And so much, we do so much media, and we go back and forth with them, like Skywatch TV and the Jim Baker Show and Lynn Liaz and just a bunch of folks that we share each other's postings and media material. And so literally, without any exaggeration at all, we reach millions and millions every month all over the world. And it's an amazing thing to watch.
And we are an all-volunteer ministry. Nobody is getting rich off of the PNN Network. And we all have other ways of supporting our families. We all work hard at those other ways. Yeah. But this is what we do instead of wasting our time with sports and bars and other non-productive things. We're redeeming the time that we have. That's right. Our free time. We do all the travel and all of this and that we're doing to these conferences and all of the money that we spend on equipment and video equipment and everything. I mean, all of that is paid for out of our own pocket. I mean, we're doing this because we want to speak up for the kingdom work and for the cause of conservatism. As Margaret Thatcher said, the facts of life are conservative. Yes. And so, I mean, that's what the PNN Network is all about. Everyone involved in the PNN Network does so for the love of Christ, for the love of God, for the love of country. That's right. That is all.
Well, listen, and I'm telling you, the bigger ministries, I mean, just because of what you said about, we pay our own way and everything, and we do. Listen, like hear the Watchmen, all right? They're a big, classy ministry. They pay their speakers, and I don't know what other people do. I'm not judging anybody, but the people that run that ministry can confirm. I donate mine back to them. I don't take any money from them. Right. I go to the Jim Baker Show. That's a huge, it's the biggest Christian television show in the world. And when they fly people in, they will, give honorariums. I donate all I told them quit writing me checks, and I was donating the one they were giving me back into their ministry because I'm blessed and you're blessed. We have other ways that the Lord is providing. I'm a pastor. The church pays me. I'm not in this. You and I are not in this for the money is what we're trying to say. Although people out there are always accusing us, well, you're just doing that to make money. No, you don't know what you're talking about. There are a lot of idiots out there that just because they would be that way, they think we're that way.
Right, and speaking of patriotism, this Sunday was supposed to be National Pot Day in Canada, where the recreational use of marijuana was supposed to become legal nationwide in Canada this Sunday, which is actually Canada Day. Yeah. July the 1st is not our Independence Day. It's just a day that they decide to call Canada Day. We're still tied to the hip of the British Crown, and everybody here knows it. That knows anything, which is fewer and fewer people, by the way.
I was going to say
that has all been put off and postponed until October the 17th. So when I go out to watch the fireworks with my family on Sunday night, I won't have to worry about not being able to pass a drug test the next morning, by the way, because of the cloud of marijuana smoke I would be exposed to walking through the throngs of people there at the shores of the St. Clair River. But, that is due in part, I believe, to people like Marilyn Gladu. She is the conservative representative here in my district, whom I proudly voted for. She's a born-again Christian. She made frequent appearances in my church. And Marilyn, I was listening to the BBC one day a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about this legalization of pot in Canada coming up July the 1st, which has now been postponed. But I believe that was postponed because of people like her, because listening to the BBC, and they said, let's interview someone from Canada about the legalization of pot, and who comes on but Marilyn Gladu. And she just hit it out of the park. She went statistic after fact after fact of why she is opposed to legalizing recreational use of research on marijuana yet, because it is listed by the DEA as a Schedule I drug. Mm-hmm. Schedule I is the highest level at the DEA. It is the substances and chemicals which are defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse, right alongside LSD, heroin, and peyote, and all these other nonsense drugs, and the Narcotics Anonymous group, who has actually done decades of research on recreational marijuana use. And I want to emphasize the word recreational here because medical marijuana use, I believe that marijuana could be broken down into various components and used harmlessly to control seizures and things like that. Yeah. I believe that there may be some medical use for it, but because it's listed on Schedule I, for a researcher to get even a small sample of marijuana legally for research costs them $6,000 U.S. per sample because it's a Schedule I drug. Uh-huh. So there's been literally zero research. Now, I know there's people out there screaming at the radio saying, wait a minute, I've done tons of research on marijuana. It's awesome for me. Yeah, I know. There's been lots of anecdotal research on marijuana. And I get the emails all the time, I've been on marijuana. It calms me down. It's helping me with my cancer, whatever. Yeah, I get that. But marijuana, according to Narcotics Anonymous, makes people stupid. Mm-hmm. And stupid as a medical term is the state of being in a stupor or a fog or a haze. And to do some kind of medical research on marijuana might make some sense, but for the Canadian Liberal government, the National Liberal Party, to want to legalize it recreationally and just sort of leapfrog over the medical research, how much sense does that make, Carl? That makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
It makes perfect sense because they need the electorate to be as stupid as possible.
Yes.
Because stupid people always vote Liberal.
Yes, and you and I, and you and I both know the spiritual angle of that, and Brandon works in it, and that is when people continually immerse themselves in mind-altering drugs and abuse those mind-altering drugs, you're opening yourself up to a deep, dark spiritual realm. You just are. The Bible tells us, medical science tells us, psychiatrists will tell you, they deal with it all the time, people who are, hooked on all manner of drugs, and marijuana is a drug, and it is a gateway drug, and there are people that can't even handle marijuana. I mean, abuse of marijuana sends them into depression and even suicide, et cetera, et cetera. So, but the medical use, I'm with you. I mean, it's like morphine. Okay, so there's a drug. Now, do we want to have recreational use of morphine? No, but are we thankful that we can use it for medical purposes? Absolutely.
Right.
So I'm open to any kind of legitimate medical use of marijuana, but in the meantime, you're right. This recreational, what does that mean? Good gracious, I know what it means.
It means the dumbing down of culture.
Yes.
to and you know what? I've used this term. I've never heard anyone else use this term, but I believe that they are creating a nation of voter slaves, a nation of people who will willingly allow themselves to become enslaved to the government, which gives them what they want, not what they need necessarily, but what they want, so that they will create generations of people who will continue to vote for them.
Yeah,
it's voter slavery is what it is.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't have anything like that in the United States. I'm sorry you guys are having to deal with that up in Canada. You're talking about the useful idiots, right?
Right. Well, the church in America is still doing the Psalm 107:2. They're still speaking up. You know, it doesn't. Psalm 107:2 does not say, "Let the redeemed of the Lord say so." It says, "Let the redeemed of the Lord say so." I know. I like the New Living Translation says, "Let the redeemed of the Lord speak up."
American Survival Wholesale is proud to sponsor this ministry and their efforts to shed light on the issues that face our nation. As a veteran and Christian-owned and operated company, we support the freedom to express these Christian principles. We all understand the importance of being prepared. After witnessing the devastation of Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and the wildfires that affected so many, please support this ministry by clicking on the link below and check out the amazing alt media package for our listeners. Plus, if you use the promo code PNN Radio, that's PNN Radio, you will receive free shipping, a savings of up to $200. Just click on the link below, but please do it today. Your support means so much to this channel.